to the Everything Made Beautiful podcast with Shannon Scott, where we explore how God's faithfulness meets us in every season of life. This podcast is sponsored by Kava, the streaming app designed to close the gap between Sundays by providing transformational content that deepens your personal discipleship journey. Whether you're seeking inspiring messages, guided reflections, or practical resources, Kava meets you where you are and helps you take the next step in following Jesus. Search Kava, Q-A-V-A, download the app, and discover tools to grow in faith every day of the week. If you've been encouraged by Everything Made Beautiful, we'd love for you to share the love. Take a moment to like, download, rate, and subscribe wherever you're listening. Your support helps us so much. And now, on with the show.
Oh my goodness. Okay, girls, you take over because I don't know what's happening now.
Well, we thought that it would be kind of fun to do something a little different, mix it up every once in a while, and bring on a special guest who you don't know beforehand who it is. So we are surprising you every time.
We've been keeping it a secret.
Okay, so I know the person. I just don't know what person it is. But when they come on, I'm going to go, "Oh my gosh, so and so." Okay.
Yeah, of course. Yes.
So, and we got to this because I said that I was tired of hearing my own voice and just doing the podcast alone anytime that I wasn't interviewing somebody, which is great. And our dog has run down here like a maniac. So if you hear her running around, she is down here.
Perfect.
I'm sure somebody in our family is going to come get her. But hey, welcome to podcast life. It's just crazy dog town. And so y'all said, well, let's do some podcasts together because I asked you to be my co-host. Thank you for saying yes to that. And then this was your idea for once a month, right? Is just to have surprise guests. Okay. So this is the first one of these. I got to tell you, it's something really unique for me not to be prepared.
I was going to ask, are you nervous or are you more excited? Maybe a little bit of both.
Yeah. Let's see. If I'm being honest, I enjoy stuff on the fly. Like that doesn't freak me out, but I want it to be a great experience for the guest as well as everybody who's listening. So I want to make sure that I guess I need to not worry about that. I need to not worry about making it great for everybody. It'll be great because we know great people. So that'll be great.
Exactly. It's bound to be great. You literally cannot mess it up.
Okay.
Yeah, and we'll just have an organic conversation, just all three of us, and it'll be absolutely perfect.
Okay. All right. Can't wait.
Are you ready?
What happens now?
I think it's time to bring our guest in.
Yeah.
Okay. Should I close my eyes? I don't know what to do.
Yeah,
just wait.
Close your eyes.
Oh, yay! Oh, yes, Kasey. Oh my goodness, Kasey Ridling. What a perfect first surprise guest.
Right?
Now I'm not nervous at all.
Perfect.
Kasey, welcome to the Everything Made Beautiful podcast.
Yes.
Yay!
This is, oh my goodness, this is so fun. Okay, I already know what I want to ask. Okay.
Ooh, okay.
Perfect.
I want you to tell about coming into our lives from your perspective, and then we can tell about you coming into our lives.
Okay.
That's just so fun.
Yes,
like I've
that's
never
so fun.
I've never heard you tell about coming into our lives because I'm always telling everyone how you came into our life. So.
Wow. Okay. Let me think. Well, it's been 15 years. I did the math before y'all let me in. 15 years.
What?
That is insane.
Yeah. Baffling.
Okay.
Honestly.
So girls, how old were y'all 15 years ago?
Oh my gosh.
I was 3. I was 3 years old.
You sure?
Ali
were
was 3.
Mm-hmm.
Which means you were like 7.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 7 or so.
Oh my word.
Yeah.
Okay. 15 years. Okay.
I will never forget when I met you, Shannon, for the first time, but also heard you speak for the first time. The first time I heard you speak was at the bottom of the Tabernacle in Atlanta. When you came in to talk about like, hey guys, we're going to have our old church, our kids program. And it's like, okay, let's start. And I was like, I want to be on her team immediately.
Because they did. Yeah. It was a brand new church.
Brand new.
Church. So they didn't have a kids program. We were going to build it. Yeah.
And at the time, the church was like hopping around to different venues in Atlanta. And this one just happened to be at the beautiful Tabernacle in Atlanta. And me and my friends were like, yeah, let's go see what it's going to be about. And that's when I saw Shannon for the first time. But the first time we met was in the hallway of our preschool. And we were putting together toys for the rooms, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course you were.
I know, because again, brand new kids ministry. And
new facility, new everything.
It was literally building everything. They were still painting at that point. And so I just remember being like, I think we're going to be in it for a while. Like after talking and like hearing your story, and then I met the kids and I started babysitting y'all, and we would go to the pool or to the movies. I think I even took you to the circus at one point.
I was just about
I actually remember that. Yeah. I do remember that.
I let y'all paint my living room.
We
Coral
did.
Pink. Like
Yes.
I did.
Yes.
I did.
As children. You were painting her living
tinies.
room as children.
Yeah, I have a picture of you guys, all three of you, with Jack included, just painting my living room. And the rest is history. But like it felt like kindred spirits. We were both, Braves fans, Braves games, the whole thing, football fans.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. So it was just like.
Yes, and I would say, like, from our perspective, like, I know for sure my kids don't have a memory that doesn't have Kasey in it. Like, their earliest memories, Kasey's in it. But for me, I thought, when we were launching that children's program, first of all, we were just all in. Like, it was just like, this is kind of what we were born to do. Like, let's get together. Our mutual friend Tabby, who we all know and love, was part of that whole season as well. And it was like, well, it's got to get done. Let's do it. And what a fun season that was. But I remember thinking that all volunteers were like Kasey. And I'm here to tell you that that is not accurate. Kasey is a unicorn.
That is not the case. Yeah. Yeah.
We have met other amazing volunteers and ministry partners similar to Kasey, but she is a unicorn in her commitment, her willingness to do what's necessary, and her embracing of whatever the vision is. And my kids, I'm telling you, to have another person in the life of your children saying the same things you're saying, and the number of times that both of my daughters have said, oh my gosh, Mom, I was talking to Kasey about this, dramatic thing that I'm going through, and here's what she said. Isn't that so wise? And I'm thinking, yes, it's wise. It's also what I have been saying all this time. But
sometimes you got to hear it from another person who's not
100%.
Multiple sources.
Even if it's the same thing.
The amount of conversations that happen in my car, like the things my car has heard over the years, and the amount of
sacred place,
drama that we have figured out.
Yes. Yeah. So I got wise over the years, and I would seed the conversation. Kasey, I need you to ask Ali about such and such. She's struggling. Or text Maggie. She's struggling. Because as a parent, there is a really special joy having another adult who is a pivotal part of your child's life. So thank you for being that for our family. And it's interesting because after that season, when we were at Passion, we went separate ways. Like, you moved to Nashville and we were still in Atlanta, and it felt like, oh shoot, this really, really sweet season has come to an end. And then, I don't know if you remember this, I drove from Atlanta to Nashville to Christy Knockel's Christmas concert that was happening in the auditorium at Church of the City. And she was just like, hey, do you want to come up to the concert? And I was like, girl, road trip, here I come. You were there. You and Hannah were there. And you said, and I think Tabby was standing there too, and y'all said, hey, we've been volunteering here at the children's ministry at this church, Church of the City, and I think that they're going through some transition and need a children's pastor. And I said something along the lines of, well, that is so special for them, but I'm not doing children's ministry anymore. And
That's
so
exactly.
we had a good laugh, like it'd be so fun to do it again together, but no. And we had a good laugh. And it was not 1 year later that I was there.
Yeah.
And we started our whole journey together for the last 7 years. And so, Kasey, you are, you're a ride or die. That's what we call you at the Scott House. You're a ride or die. So
For sure.
I have to say thank you for all that you have invested in our family and the fun that we have had and the insanity that we have seen and experienced in many ways, far too many to enumerate here on this podcast. So thank you.
Of course. It's been the biggest pleasure of my life. Like, it's one of my favorite things. You guys are my family. There's not even like extended family. No, you're my family. Like, that, the end. It has been a crazy 15 years, but boy, I wouldn't trade it for anything. Well, maybe some things, but
there's probably some dollar amounts I could trade some things
Right.
for.
maybe some
right.
things, but for the most part, I would not trade it. Yeah.
I do think about, especially all of our people from Church of the City, like all of our amazing women, our amazing volunteers in all the time that we were there. I'm sure a lot of them are like, man, this is so great. Like, Kasey and Shannon really they just really have hit it off quickly. And I bet a lot of them are just now finding out, listening to this podcast, that we have been 15 years in the trenches together. But I know what a gift you've been to Church of the City, to Kid City, to students, to women, to all of those places. The same is true at Passion. And you have a real gift. You are a gift to everyone that you're around. So I do want to speak that over you. I want to talk about one once in a lifetime thing you and I did together, but I want you thinking about, the whole subject of this podcast is everything made beautiful, and that we believe that God's making everything beautiful in its time, but that it doesn't always look beautiful to us initially. And sometimes we are just left to trust that God's going to make it beautiful because he promises to, and we may not get to see all the fruit of that. So I want you to be thinking about an example of that for you that you'd be willing to share. But first, I want to discuss the day that you texted me when our Braves were going to the World Series. And you said on text, hey, insert name of our mutual friend here, wants to make sure that you and I are able to go to the World Series. And I looked at the text like, wait. Well, I mean, we can go to Atlanta, but we're not going to get to go to the game. And then you said, no, with tickets to the game. And again, I was like, I think I probably said, Kasey, God doesn't like liars. And so when you lie to people over text, that's the same as lying. And you said, I'm not lying. And you and I ended up with field level seats at the Braves World Series game, where had they won that night, they would have clinched the World Series. They did not win that night, but we got to be standing there in a sold-out stadium in Atlanta, watching our Braves in the World Series, bases loaded, and Adam Duvall comes up to the plate. He swings, and time stood still and slow motion began like in the movies. And he hit a grand slam home run in the World Series at the Braves game. And I hugged you, but then turned to a perfect stranger man who I have never seen again and hugged him as though he was my family. And it was pandemonium and chaos. So those are my thoughts. That was the most otherworldly, insane, I don't know if it can ever be duplicated beyond the births of my children moment of my life. What about you?
I mean, I don't have children, so for sure the top moment of my life. But like, it's insane. From the beginning of the maybe we're going, maybe we're not going, and then we're going, and then getting down there, it was just the whole situation. Like, we were working together at Church of the City at this time, but we were in two separate meetings like, I was off campus, you were in a meeting that you were going to be in all day. And so we weren't even like able to be in the same room talking about this.
Right.
So, and I'm at a meeting planning the beautiful event Night to Shine, and I'm not able to focus. I'm like, guys, this is important. But I need you to know what's happening in my soul right now.
Right.
I'm literally running laps around a coffee shop in Franklin because I'm like, I don't know what to do with my hands. And
if you're saying I was in a meeting all day, then that had to have been a Tuesday, which means I could not even like engage fully in the text. I'm probably like sly on the sly texting. Oh my goodness, that was pandemonium. I just remembered after the game too.
Oh yeah, so the game was insane. Seeing a Grand Slam hit in the World Series game is a top moment, win or lose. Like, I figured like we lost because the Lord had to keep us humble. Like, if we would have won, like we would have been insufferable. It would have been.
You would have been riding high for the rest of your lives. Yeah.
But then like after the game, we have to drive back to Franklin because we have a Bible study Monday morning, and the game was Sunday night. And it's a night game. And in Atlanta, where there's an hour difference. And so we had the time change, and we had to get back for the next morning for the Bible study. So it was just chaos and then we're like in the car and we're like, what just happened? We just experienced the World Series, but also, okay, let's change our focus and go serve the women that we love so much. And then that night is when we watched them in Church of the City, in their theater. We watched them clinch the World Series.
Yes, on the LED wall.
On the LED wall. So we watched the World Series on the giant LED wall in the theater. There are videos that are quite fun to watch.
Yeah.
I was
going to say, Maggie, tell us.
Yeah.
Apartment in Florida on an internship. So I'm sharing with 3 other girls who don't care or actually know who I am. And I screamed so loud that we got a noise complaint. And I had to answer the door and be like, I'm so sorry. And they saw my Braves jersey and they were like, actually, I totally get it. No worries. And I said, it's over now. So we're all good. Won't happen again, promise.
we did like a family FaceTime with everyone, remember?
Oh, yeah.
After we won, we all got on FaceTime because it was just incredible.
Because it had been since 1995 that we had been waiting. It was, that was so sweet. But getting to experience that with you, Kasey, like I just could not have, God was way too kind to us. Our friend was way too kind to us.
Too kind.
It was just amazing. Okay. So tell us, if you are willing and want to, and in as much detail as you want to share, what is kind of a top everything made beautiful moment for you?
Yeah. I honestly, God's been really kind where I have a couple that immediately came to mind, but I think in the vein of everything we've been talking about is, one thing is I'm in my mid-30s and I'm single. And so there can be a stigma of that it's not beautiful because I haven't found the person that I'm supposed to be with the rest of my life. But God's just kind of brought me into this season of how beautiful this really is, because I do have the bandwidth and capacity and the time to love on all of these kids who aren't mine and pour into their lives in a way, and to not only like pour into their lives, but to help you as parents. I have an 8th grade small group that I get to pour into. I have, all of my other little children running around, anywhere from like 4 years old to, 20 something years old in Orlando, and so it's been this beautiful thing of me realizing like, I don't have kids of my own. I don't have like that immediate family. It's just me, but God has made this beautiful season of me getting to really walk alongside so many. And it's it's beautiful, and I'm so thankful for it. And I know, like, if I did have my own family and my own kids, I wouldn't have this kind of time to be able to be like, yeah, I'll come pick you up from school and we'll go get coffee. Or the other day, my friend called me and she's like, please come get my daughter. I can't anymore. Like there's teenage drama and I just can't. I need your help. Like, you have to. And I went and I grabbed her after work and we went to grab a soda and we just sat in a parking lot for 2 hours, and just really dove into everything and like, okay, well, why did you react that way? And like, just really got to counsel her through that, because I was like, listen, this is what I walked through when I was your age, so let me help you through that. And so it's just been it's a beautiful season of life that I've been able to be in, to be able to pour into wonder and see the fruit of it. Like Maggie and Ali, y'all, I've been walking alongside y'all for 15 years now, and to see the wonderful, wonderful women that y'all have turned into, and like you doing the exact same thing that I did for you. Like Ali has one of my girls in my small group as a mentee, and even watching her mentor her, I'm like, it makes my heart explode a little, because I'm like, we've had some of these same conversations about me, and it's a beautiful thing, really.
Yeah, and it's really, and I don't know if you've ever thought about it this way, but your willingness as a single woman to be setting an example for all of these girls that look up to you and love you, and you're not going, I'm incomplete until I'm married, and you're setting something for them so that they're not going, oh, I guess this is what I have to be going after. Instead, you're going, nope, I'm whole and I'm complete because I'm in Christ. Mm-hmm. If I get married, great. If I don't, I'm still whole and complete because I'm in Christ. And so I'm really grateful for that. I want you to share your others, but Maggie, Ali, what has Kasey's influence meant for the two of you from your seat?
I mean, I know for me, everyone in my life knows who she is, even if they don't actually know her. So I was just at my friend's house the other day and told them about this and was like, yeah, we're going to surprise mom, blah, blah, blah. And they were like, oh, who are you having? And I said, Kasey. And they were like, that is going to be so fun. They've never met her. They've never met her. So I think that is just a testament to the fact that, like, I talk about her and the things that we've talked about and the things that we've walked through and the things that we've gotten to do, all the fun things and all the really sucky things all the time. And I think that's just a testament to who she is and the impact that she's had, because truly, I mean, you come to Florida a couple times a year, maybe, and all these people know who you are, at least. So I think that's really a testament to you and the impact that you've left. And that's not even going into specifics. Like, I'll probably cry. But I think that's really cool to see and cool to experience, to have all these people be like, oh my goodness, yay. And I'm like, yeah, and you don't even get it. You don't even actually get it. So I think that's really cool.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Ali, I'm going to ask you this too. So I want to know what it's meant to have Kasey in your life, but I also, Mags, I want you to name something specific that Kasey has spoken into, like what you kind of hold on to that she has given you, and tell her. And then Ali, I'm going to ask you the same thing.
Well, there is 15 years of advice to go through, but most recently, I just went through a breakup, and Kasey was right there alongside me the entire time from day one, and had to experience a lot of emotions from me. But she was just so amazing. And you were right there next to me, literally running production right next to me while I was sitting there crying and making sure that I was good. And once I was ready to like hear all of the advice, you were like, girl, listen, I've been here and here I am currently, and it is actually okay. It's just what you just talked about. Like, having someone who you already look up to, who's going through the same thing that you are, or has gone through it before, and can give you that perspective of like, this isn't a forever thing, and this actually doesn't reflect on you necessarily, or your worth as a person. And it was such I think it was just so kind of the Lord to have this happen during this time, because I got to be around all of the people that I would have wanted to be around. And specifically to have Kasey literally arm in arm with me all week, walking me through it, was incredible. So I cannot thank you enough, truly. Like, I don't think that I would be at the place that I am now with this whole process if I hadn't had that. And it was just so kind of the Lord and so kind of you to be able to walk through that with me, literally from day one.
My pleasure. I'm here to bring all of the snacks, but also words if you need it. I remember being like, you don't have to talk about this, but when you're ready, we're going to.
Right. And we did.
And we did.
Albal?
For me, I think the influence that Kasey has had on my life is just, astronomical. You know, from day one, it's been, Kasey's always there. And there was a period where Kasey lived with us, and it was just like literally the best to just be able to go talk to my mom about it, but then also like immediately just go downstairs and be like, also Kasey, hey, how are ya? You know? And all of my friends do know you, and they all love you as well. So it's just, I truly can't say enough good things about you. Like, it's just, oh my gosh. I just adore you as a person, and I adore everything that you have to offer as well. It's just, chef's kiss, if you will. What was the second question?
Just what's one specific piece of advice that Kasey's given you that you just kind of carry with you?
Oh, yes. Well, I would say, I don't know if I have one specific, but I have so we're both Enneagram 9s, and I cannot tell you how many times I've been freaking out about something, or I'm like, why do I feel this way? Or something like that, where I'm like, I don't understand my emotions. And Kasey's like, well, this is typically how Enneagram 9s feel, and this is why, and here's all of the, and you're just like, well, couldn't have put it any other way, really.
Yeah.
So it's just, she always has the right words and exactly how to word it so that you just it's just right here, you understand immediately. And it's absolutely just one of the most important relationships in my life, aside from you two and the rest of our family as well, obviously.
Back at you. Listen, Shannon was the first person to ever call me an Enneagram 9 before we even knew what the Enneagram was. I remember us having a conversation where I was just going through it. Life was putting me through it at that point. And Shannon sat me down and she was like, Kasey, when stuff happens, you pick it up and then you shove it. And you pick it up and you shove it. And you just keep shoving it until you have nowhere else to shove it. And then you explode. And that's where you're at right now. And I was like, I know. Now I know that is literally the formula to be an Enneagram 9. So now I'm like, sweet little Enneagram 9s, let me help you. Let me help you not explode, because I've exploded. And it's not fun.
Absolutely.
I remember specifically with you, Ali, that one time this has been several years ago, but you were crying and I said, what's wrong? And you said, I feel lonely a lot, even when there are a lot of people around. And your brother was also going through some emotional stuff as well. And so I was, as a mom, starting to be like, what is wrong with my children? Everyone is upset. And Kasey was able to assuage my fears and say, hey, that is a very common thing for our temperament. And so she was able to talk to you. And I think the magic of that is, when even I'm like, well, I'm not wired that way. I love to be alone. I'm like, yes, more aloneness, please. I wasn't sure what to do. And so Kasey, your wisdom in that and your just life experience was really helpful. I would love to ask you, I know this might put you on the spot, but I have several people in my life like you who are, older than 22 and aren't married. And I'm wondering how you feel like the church, I don't mean our church, I just mean the Big C church. How do you feel like the church could do a better job of serving single adults and just that demographic? And I mean, I don't want to speak for you. Do you feel like the church serves you well? Do you feel like there's a way that could be better?
I feel like it's getting better, but it still has ways to go. I feel like people are becoming more aware now, because I feel like a lot of people in my generation, that there are a lot more single females in our generation. And I don't know why that is, or what's the cause of that. I don't have any like backing up data for that, but the church has done in the past a disservice to people in my season of life. And a lot of times it's because they're focused on either people in a much younger season of life than me, like the young adults and the college, which is amazing. And I'm not taking away from that, but then there's like the young adults and the college, and then there's the moms and the marrieds. And you're like, well, I'm in this weird middle ground where there's really nothing for me right here. And it's in some ways, the Big C church can look at it as well, you're not married, so you're not really like, that's what you said earlier. It's like, you're not fully complete yet because you're not married. And I've struggled a lot with it. Just because it's been really hard. It's like, well, I don't have kids that can do this. I don't have the husband who can also, so we can serve together and lead a community group. I don't have all of these different things that where the church kind of looks at it as, oh, now you're whole. It can be really hard, and really isolating being a single female. And I'm sure a single male, I'm not, so I don't know. But, but as a single female, like, and I've been very lucky to find other girls that are in my same season of life, and we're all kind of like, oh yeah, this is hard. Like, and it's hard. I mean, I know the grass isn't always greener, but there is a disservice that happens for single females because and sometimes we're like the shiny toy that's like, oh my gosh, like you're in like this best season of life. You can do whatever. Like you can be here all the time, but also let me set you up with all of these people. You don't need to do that. You don't need to do that. Just, we're human, the same as you. There are a few things where it's like, ooh, we don't need a singles mixer. We don't need speed dating. We just need to be able to serve the same as everyone else. We need to be served. We need to feel seen and known just like everyone else. And we're not any less complete just because we're in this beautiful season of being single, which I do feel like, it is a beautiful season. Like it is a gift. And I know that. And, it's taken me a long time to get there. I had a lot of times of feeling, like incomplete because that's what I was made to feel. And I had a lot of times of feeling lonely and like I'm not good enough and all those things that come along with being single this long. But now I feel like I'm finally in this, like, it almost feels like we're a breath of fresh air because it's like, oh, that's why I'm here, because I have time. I can do all of these things. I can serve more. I can pour into people more. I can travel and not have to worry about school trips or whatever it is, and so I'm learning to be grateful for it and figure out my place in the Big C church because of it and use it as a gift, not as a handicap, if that makes sense.
Oh, totally.
I just heard,
yeah.
So sorry to cut you off. I was just going to say, I am going through, in our young adult ministry at my church, we're talking about relationships and dating and marriage and all of those things, which is perfect right after a breakup.
Yeah, that's good.
And this last week we talked about singleness specifically, and how Paul tells us that it is a gift and that if you are single, you should look at it as a gift. But it is so difficult to be like, yeah, this is amazing.
Yay!
I'm by myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the other thing they said was singleness is not a disease and a relationship is not a cure. And that couldn't be more true. I mean, there's absolutely a desire to want to be in a relationship, a desire to be married, and that's a good and right desire. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. But once you're able to reframe, like you said, and look at it as like, okay, there are absolute positives to this season, and what an incredible time to be able to pour into yourself when you're able to just work on your relationship with you and the Lord solely, and not have to worry about anybody else, and not have to, you know, add all of these things into your life that would impact your relationship with the Lord. And that's been a really interesting perspective, just freshly out of a breakup, but also going into this new season for me of singleness, of like, yeah, this is a really rich time to be able to focus, not in a me kind of way, but to be able to focus on me and solely me and my walk with the Lord, and building a strong foundation so that the next time that, if that's the Lord's will, that I am in a relationship, I've got a solid foundation that we can then build on together. And so I think it's really cool to hear you say, yeah, I'm in a season now where I do look at it as like a really cool thing, despite wanting in the future to have that, of course, like that makes perfect sense. But it's interesting perspective, and not something that people talk about a lot, I feel like.
And I had to get there on my own. Like, I've had people, you know, I'm 35 and I have been single for 35 years, and have had people, I feel like, for most of those years tell me, well, it's a gift. You know, Paul, he says it's a gift. And I'm like, that's cute, but you can't.
Were they married? Were those people married?
They're always married. They're always married. People who aren't single never go like, well, girl, this is a gift that you're in. No, we're all like, what? Because it's hard out there. But like, I had to get there on my own. Like, I had to realize the gift it was, and the Lord had to like give that to me, because it is a desire of my heart, and it always will be. But like right now I'm like, no, this is beautiful where I'm at. But it is one thing to figure that out on your own rather than being told that. I'm like, you don't tell me what to do. But because it's not that easy. You have to get there and have like that moment where it clicks on your own, because it is. And I have friends on all sides of the spectrum. I have friends who are like, this is the worst thing that's ever happened to me, and I hate every minute of it. This isn't a gift. I don't know what these people are talking about. And then I have people who are probably too far on the other side, where I'm like, they're like, this is a gift and I never want to change, you know? So it's like finding that happy medium of like, no, this is still a desire of my heart. Like, it is still a desire of my heart to find my forever lobster, or whatever you want to say. But it also is a beautiful season that I'm in, where I can sleep as late as I want on Saturdays. I can go run to Target whenever I want and not have to tell anyone, you know? So it's like, it is both and. I can go to New York for 24 hours to see a Broadway show and fly home and not run it by anyone, you know? So it's like, it's things like that where it's like, this is beautiful, but it's both and. This is beautiful, but, you know, which is fine.
So. Yeah, that's good. What are you seeing? So you spend a lot of time with teenage girls.
I do.
And I know we have a lot of mamas who listen to the Everything Made Beautiful podcast. If you could hold court with moms of teenagers, and I don't necessarily just mean 6th graders or 7th graders, like you've seen all the teenagers for lots of years. If you could just hold a little court with moms of teenagers, specifically teenage girls, what would you tell them about what their daughters are struggling with, coping with, wrestling with, and what they need from us as moms?
If any of my teenagers are listening, just cover your ears for a second, because you may get mad at me for what I'm about to say. But it's okay.
Just a small caveat.
Yeah, so you know. You'll get over it. It'll be fine. The more I'm in it, and the more like this day and age, and I feel like the crazy even saying this is like, social media is the issue. Everything I'm counseling people through, it is something that has to do with online. That's something that happens online. And I was never like, don't let them have social media until they're older. Like, I was never that person, because it just didn't, I don't have kids. And so I was just like, I don't understand. But then like, the more I'm counseling these girls, and the more we're talking about comparison, and the more we're talking about insecurities, And even especially the younger generation, I feel like younger than Ali, like that generation, it's like we're having a lot of conversations on emotional intelligence and how to act in social situations. Like they don't like they're having a hard time getting there, even in like social awareness. And the thing I'm finding that is the most like at fault is social media, because they get on whatever it is. And there are like, I mean, I have anytime I have like a blank response that I give parents when they're like, what do you think? And I'm like, well, this is what I think. But like some of the things where anything that they can compare themselves to other people, anything that they're able to comment on, like it is ingraining into their like soul and who they are. And they're like walking away going, I'm not any of those things. And it's so sad to me because I'm seeing these beautiful, beautiful girls with the biggest hearts just have a really hard time. And it all comes back to what they're seeing online, because anyone can say anything online because they have less fear. And so the online bullying, and it's not even just social media, like I just walked through some situation with some teenagers about texting and bullying over texting, because there's a screen and they're not having to say it face to face. And so there's this screen and they'll just say whatever they want because they don't understand the consequences of their actions. And so I just like, I've never been on the train of like, hold the digital things. But now the more I counsel girls, the more I'm like, that is an issue. And that's what they're struggling with. They're struggling with their identity. They're struggling with who they are and not comparing themselves to other people, but also just like the drama. And so it becomes a little bit, because there's no social awareness, or not no social awareness, but because there's a lack of it, the drama gets a little bit more escalated. And I feel like parents step in really fast. And so another thing I say to parents a lot is like, just let them try and figure it out. Like obviously when it's the big bullying issues and it's the big issues, obviously step in, I'll step in, their adults, whoever in their life will step in. But like when it's these silly friendship issues where just something was said and they took it the wrong way and now everyone's feelings are hurt, like let them figure it out, because that's how they're going to figure out the skills to be able to communicate as an adult later in life. And if you keep constantly stepping in before they're able to figure it out, then they're never going to be able to figure it out. And then they're going to be 20 something years old in a job. And then how are they going to communicate with their boss or their coworker that they don't get along with? And so just letting them figure it out, but also just hold off on the social media as long as you can.
Yeah. Maggie and Ali, I want to hear from you on this, but I will just say, I have said this a lot. I did not possess the emotional or spiritual maturity at, I think, what's the Instagram limit? 13. You have to be 13. But I did not possess anything I needed at 13 years old, or 14, 15, 16, 17, 21, 22, 20. I just didn't have it to be able to exist in a world of such comparison and such rampant opinion on everything all the time. And so this, when our church did the digital fast a few years ago, our family did it together, and we looked at each other and we're like, we're actually a lot more peaceful, a lot less stressed, a lot less anxious without social media. It was less about the phone and more about the social media to our family. And so I don't know how we get a hold of it, but I would tend to agree with you. I mean, I have a admitted love-hate relationship with social media, and most of it is hate. I see it as a necessary evil for something like this, like, letting people know there's a podcast, but I would rather shut it down, never get on it again, and be like, oh, well. Yeah. Girls, what do you think?
I think it's so difficult to navigate no matter what season of life you're in. Because I think that there's just too much available for you to consume. But I'll say for me specifically, having it in, I didn't have it until high school. I am almost
Correct.
Positive.
No, you don't.
And even then, like seeing your friends all hang out without you, that wasn't a thing. You didn't know. If you weren't there, you didn't know unless somebody told you, and you didn't have to sit there in your bed alone, swiping through stories and seeing all of your friends hanging out without you and be like, oh my gosh, does this mean they hate me? Just like, why wasn't I invited? And oh, I guess we're not friends anymore. And the immediate anxiety and overthinking is wild, and is something to this day that I, as an extrovert who wants to be invited to everything, still find myself struggling with. But that is what you get trapped in. And that was hard as a young girl trying to figure out, you know, where do I fit in and who are my people and all of this stuff, to then have all of this onslaught of information, not to mention all the random people I don't know whose lives I see scrolling through my feed every day and being like, they're only 19 and they have their own business and they have 2 cars and that's not me. And like, what am I doing wrong? It is a wild thing. And I think it's incredibly difficult to get a hold of, for sure. Ali, what do you think?
I would say, as like somebody who's still, like, I am only 18 years old. Like, I definitely do not have it all figured out, you know? I would say, like, I only got Instagram 2 years ago, and even then, like, it's still, like, I still remember the day I got it. It was like an immediate addiction, honestly. And I find myself, like, even when people don't necessarily post things for me to see, I'll still go on somebody's Instagram page and go over to their tagged posts, and they hung out a month ago and I didn't know, and they did this really fun thing. Why didn't they invite me? You know, and it turns out I was literally out of town that day. They could have never invited me, but how dare they? You know, like,
right.
But it's just such a, like, it's such a comparison trap that as young as some of these girls are who are like getting on Instagram, I'm always like, why are you on here? No, get off, please. Like, because it just like consumes you, especially at such a young age. Like, because I remember I even like compared myself to people literally constantly, to these 25-year-olds who are showing up on my feed, and I'm like, they're so pretty. And it turns out like, oh, they've gotten work done. You know, like, it's fake and it's a trap. And that is literally just the truth, is that Instagram is fake. Filters exist for a reason, and it's because everybody's life isn't perfect. And yet on Instagram, it sure looks like they are, you know? And so then when you're scrolling, oh, their life looks so perfect and mine doesn't, you know, well, if I were to film the same thing they did, it sure would look perfect, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
So there's absolutely no way to compare yourself healthily. I don't even think that exists. So it's just, it's a tight rope. It's such a slippery slope to figure out when the right time is to get it, or if you even should get it.
So I think the four of us, I think the four of us, though, would agree that we will go out on the limb and say, mamas, if you have girls and they do not have Instagram or social media, wait as long as humanly possible. And it's okay that everybody else has it and they don't. As my dad used to say to me, yes, Shannon, others may, you may not. And it feels antiquated, but everybody else is. But if we knew, which I think we do now, if we knew if my child ingests this, it will be toxic to them, we would think nothing of taking it right out of their hand. And this is the digital version of that. I remember, Kasey or Ali, help me remember if I butcher this, but I remember Pastor Darren addressing this because parents were saying, well, it's too late. Our kids already have social media. So now what are we supposed to do? And I think that his advice was have a conversation with your teenagers and say, hey, what if we together agree that for X amount of time, we're going to fast from it and just see what the results are. And so is that right? I think that was so that's my advice to you, mamas. Keep it out as long as you feel good keeping it out. And if you're like, my 14-year-old has it and I wish she didn't, then consider what it might look like to have a conversation and just say, hey, let's put this away for a bit and pay attention to how we feel, pay attention to how we relax, how our anxiety goes down, and how much we're not thinking about what everyone is doing without us, because we don't know what everyone is doing.
And if your kids do have it and you're like, oh gosh, and it's not like I can't take it away, like if that's the thing there, I will say Instagram is doing, you know me, I love social media. I've done it for a living. I've gotten paid to do social media before, but in past jobs, I will say Instagram is going down a path of that's really good and safe for teens. So if you are like, they have it, I don't know what to do, and you're not going to take, like, if you're not going to fast from it, if that's not right for your family right now, at least change their account to a teen account, because Instagram is doing a lot in the way of protecting teens right now, which is beautiful to see. It's not nearly where it should be. It should not be allowed until later on, but if they're going to, at least make sure it's a teen account, because there are so many rules and regulations to even getting an account and what you can do when you have a teen account. So at least make that change and be very transparent with your kids. Like, check it always, because what I have seen is the really bad happen in the times where nobody's keeping anyone accountable. And that's when it gets unsafe. And that's when the negativity happens. And whether it be like, I mean, I have heard and experienced some really bad horror stories, but like, just always, always, always be transparent about it if you are going to let them have it. That's what I will say.
I'll say too, I have my own phone. I'm living by myself. I don't have my parental controls from my actual parents anymore. But I still have parental controls or content restrictions on my phone, because why risk it?
Yeah.
Why risk it? Nothing that I want to see is going to be blocked by this restriction. Nothing that is good and helpful and worth anything is going to be blocked by this restriction. But you know what else is? Everything I don't want to see. And so why even give myself the opportunity when I can just wipe that clean and not have to worry about it? Yeah, so that's definitely something that I use even now. And it's amazing because I never have to worry about seeing something that I'm going to wish that I didn't see, you know?
It's good.
Yeah, I'm a 48-year-old and I have a screen time on social media. And so I don't remember if it's 30 or 45 minutes a day. And after that point, it shuts off and I can't use the app again until the next day. Now, can I go around it? Yes. But is there really a need to ever go around it? Not usually. And it just keeps me from just going down the rabbit hole and wasting time I could be spending doing something else. Kasey, I just want to say on behalf of moms everywhere, thank you for the way that you're pouring into girls and to the next generation. The enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy, and you are one of the people helping to beat back that darkness and being light for girls. And we want girls who know and love Jesus, but also know their worth and their value and understand how God has made them to thrive, and you are speaking that over them. And I mean, good grief, there's sometimes there's a fight for whose daughter gets to be in Kasey's small group, which I completely understand. So thank you for that. Do you have any other ways that you have seen God making everything beautiful in its time?
Yeah. I mean, one of the big pillars of my life right now is that I lost my mom in 2021. And I mean, Shannon, as you know, losing a parent is the hardest thing that you can walk through. But in all of that, there was beauty before she passed and everything, like with our team. Our team at Church of the City and a bunch of volunteers and staff and people sent my family to Disney. So like there was this beautiful moment before we lost mom, which literally was like the beginning of the end. We had just gotten the phone call that she had 6 months to live, and my team rallied around us and sent us to Disney. And it was this beautiful moment. And I really can look back at that where I was like, oh, that was the last happy time I remember my mom being happy. Because after that is when it went downhill really quickly with her cancer. But even after that, the way God has woven that into my story to still be able to help other girls who have walked along similar things. I have a girl who is 22 that I mentor through who also lost her mom to stage 4 ovarian cancer, which our journeys are very similar, but even to be able to walk alongside her in that, just a little bit ahead of her in that journey. And so even using that, which was so hard and is still so hard, and I don't think it'll ever not be hard, but like just using that as a pillar of my story to be like, that happened, but look how God has like blessed me and my family afterwards. And like, even my dad because now it's just me and my dad, I'm an only child. And my dad is living his best life being a school bus driver and getting to pour into all these little babies in elementary school. And he calls me once a week to tell me stories about these babies, but he's able to do this now and like really live his best life. And because of that, and it feels like that really hard thing we walked through has had beautiful fruit from it, which I didn't think would happen. But it really has, like just being able to use that as hey, like, I understand what you're going through because grief is hard. And let me tell you how my grief journey went. And that can go to anything from that's like me and Maggie had a lot of those conversations when she was going through her breakup to like, yeah, you lost a pet, but like with a sweet little 6-year-old, but that's still like, that's the same. Let me talk to you about grief because that's still hard. So having something that was what felt like in the moment world ending, like my whole world stopped because my mom was my best friend and everything. But then for life to pick back up and like, it will never be the same, but now there's this beautiful thing that's come from it. And now I get to take my mom's legacy and really pour it out for anyone who comes in my path. Whether it be in the way of, let me tell you this funny story that happened, or let me walk alongside of you in your grief. God has really made that beautiful where it was something that is so dark and I didn't think I would ever be on the other side of it. People were always like, yeah, but one day, I'm like, okay, sure.
I can definitely see that. Right.
Yeah. Cause people, they do not know what to say in moments like that and they can't help themselves most of the time. And so sometimes they say the most unhelpful things, but honestly, it's true. Like looking back at it now and I'm like, oh, there has really been some beautiful fruit that has come from that. So, but yeah.
Ooh, that's good. Yeah, it's hard. The loss of a parent is hard. The anniversary of my dad's passing was last week. And yeah, I'm like, those are the things that we trust God is making beautiful, even though we can't see that they're beautiful. And it doesn't mean he's making it look beautiful to me. But what you've talked about, which is the fruit and the legacy, is beautiful, as is the ability to comfort others with the same comfort that you have received, which is what that gives us. Like there's something about grief that buffs off some rough edges in the same way parenting buffs stuff off and marriage buffs stuff off, loss and grief buff things off of us and give us a little bit softer places that help people who are walking through it after us. So, your mom was a sweet, sweet, sweet woman. Love her. And you are a legacy because you are her legacy and all the best things of her are still with you. And that is sweet. Well, girls, this was the best first surprise guest of all time, which y'all probably knew, which is why you did it.
And we did. And we did. We did.
Yeah. Well, Kasey, thank you for doing this. I was going to have you on the podcast anyway, so this is a really fun way to have you on the podcast. And there are hours more of conversation we could have. But for now, I just want to say you mean the world to our family. Ride or die, we're so grateful for you, and we're so glad that God has chosen to keep our lives intertwined. You know, some people come in seasons and go in other seasons, and I'm really glad that so far that has not been the case. I'm putting in my notice that I would like that to never be the case. So thank you for your impact on our family and for doing this podcast.
Of course, back at y'all. Y'all are the best. I love you so much.
Maggie, Ali, thank you for doing this. It was so nice to hear other voices. So thank you for doing this.
Of course.
And to all of our fabulous listeners and viewers, we love you, and we're so grateful that you've joined us on the podcast. I encourage you to come back next week and see who we've got, because I like that sometimes there's going to be a surprise that I don't even know about. So thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And this is just your reminder to keep your eyes open for the way that God is making everything beautiful, including you. And we'll see you next time.
Thanks for joining us for Everything Made Beautiful. We are so grateful for your willingness to tune in. Be sure to follow, rate, and download the podcast, and check out the show notes for additional links and resources from today's episode. You can follow Everything Made Beautiful podcast on Instagram and Facebook, and can subscribe to Shannon's writing on Substack. This information and more is available at shannonsuzannescott.com. See you next time.